Yeah, unfortunately for me, you know me, I'm a huge Sapphire Steel fan. So I'm going to have to go for this one for Kawa. Shout out to Kawa, man. I actually linked up with him, met him at the DLC in Milwaukee. Sorry.
Hmm.
Sorry. Got stuck in my head. Yeah, met him at the DLC in Milwaukee. He came all the way, traveled all the way from Europe. We had an awesome conversation about Sapphire Steel. He's actually a huge fan of it. He's been telling me he's had success with it. These lines of play similar to Sky, where he likes to go ramp on turn 2, ramp on turn 3, get these big characters out. And I can't wait to see his list and see the type of gameplay he's going to show us today. And it's just crazy how it's going to be a reverse, seeing the exact same match. But this time, let's see here the Circle of Life can take over the Sapphire Steel's very strong static characters.
I love it. And just like that, the players are ready. I'm ready. You're ready. And look at these game boards. Now, everyone out there in the LCCC, take some notes, okay? This is what we are expecting as a commentary team, as a broadcast team, and as a viewing experience. TFM Dan, you see his area. Look at Kawa. You see his area. He also threw his face in there so we can get a nice little sneak peek of what that Illuminator looks like. This is a standard. Take notes, everybody watching at home. This is what I want to see every time we load up for the LCCC, as it is time. The players are ready. I'm ready. You're ready. Let's begin. It is time to do. I'm gonna go ahead. I can't. Can you DM the judges and let them know that it is time to play, because I cannot reach in and do that while I'm looking at it. So it is time. Whenever they're ready to start, we can begin, as I don't know who's going to be on the play. I don't know if they've randomized the play draw situation just yet, but I would like to. We can go ahead and get this thing underway. Let me see. Here we go.
Yeah, just mention it.
Okay, cool.
All right, I think it should be starting.
Starting any minute now. Okay, so I'll just take a little bit of time. I'm going to crop a little bit off of Dan's side really fast just to get it. I mean, I'm always going to be trying to get some perfection over here when we can. Again, I'm really loving loving this board here for Dan. We can see a little bit more of what we got going on. So I'll crop this whole thing out. We got our virtual fist bump.
Virtual fist pump going on.
I love the virtual fist bump. And there it is as the altars are underway. But while we're getting those altars underway, I'm gonna pull up really quickly. I could pull up those deck lists for everyone, so you guys can have a sneak peek. And in between the rounds, we're gonna go back through and look at the deck list again, and really get the chance to talk about the players a little bit and some of the things they had in the previous rounds and of the sort. So I get this out of here, and then, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Good grief! All right, so here is the deck list super fast. We have Kawa, who's on blue steel, and we have the Forbidden Mountain Dan. He is going to be on that Circle of Dog deck. It's a little bit similar, or Circle of Life. I'm not to be confused with Circle of Dog, okay? Even though Bobby Zimruski is a dog, okay? Clarabelle is a cow. Stitch is kind of a dog, okay, a little bit. But his is a little bit different than what Lucas had, whereas Kawa is playing new blue steel, but he's on some old technology, I would say. No Ariel is going to be in this deck, similar to what Sky had. So here are the deck lists. I think it's going to be very similar to what happened last time, but both of these decks are built in a slightly different manner as the previous match.
Yeah, you see here Kawa was more a standard blue lock Sapphire Steel build. Instead of the Kitas, he's just playing more copies of Horseman, is playing the copies of Strength of the Raging Fire, still seems to be a fan of it. You know, I think although it is an awkward card in this style of build, you can't go wrong with it, especially with all these Cheshire Cats, all these shift targets, small Clarabelles going around right now. But let's see here who is on the play. And I do see a couple Uninkables, man. Sapphire Steel, story of Uninkables, right? Like, we got to calm down with these Uninkables because we can get punished. But we do see a Tipo in Kawa's hand, so we can definitely get some gas going.
Yeah, Tipo will be able to accelerate a little bit, man, but I don't know. You gotta really explain this lock thing to me. I'm trying to figure out the lock, man, and I think you're trolling me at this point because I don't know what we're talking with the lock, the blue lock. What are we locking? I need to learn more about this lock as Kawa is trying to unlock his inkwell, as we are going to get that Vision of Future down. One cost character, one cost play, non-existent. Check that. It's going to be the Mulan who's going to be able to shake up some Inkables. I like it.
Yeah, pretty much that. The whole blue lock thing was just in set 9. I made the deck for the DLC and wanted to use Kita and Lady Cluck. And with Kita and Lady Cluck, Blurple couldn't interact because you had that ward mechanic. So you kind of put them like on a blue lock, right? They couldn't really interact with that board. And that was set 10. I'm still playing Kitas. in my Sapphire Steel list. So the name kind of just carried on. And Blue Lock's my favorite anime. So when I'm playing Lorcana, my mentality is kind of like Blue Lock, where I just wanna win. You know what I
Ah,
mean? I just
okay.
want to go high roll, win, and yeah, the name just carried on.
Got it. Okay, that's my bad. Cause I'm not a maybe I'm not a I don't watch too much anime. I wasn't familiar with Blue Lock being an anime, but I think that's a difference maker. As we are going to be trying to unlock ourselves and Blue Lock back in, and it seems as if Dan now has that Ursula Vanessa. This is a difference between his build and Lucas's build, as he has access to some more rigid, well-statted singers, which line up quite nicely against the Sapphire Steel strategy. As we are going to hit the Sell the Azurite Sea in favor of the Tipo, getting into that Strength of a Raging Fire again. Oh man, we might have to end up putting that down into the Inkwell. It's going to be kind of hard to get that strength off. Maybe I'm wrong, as second copy of Vision is possibly going down into the Inkwell.
Yeah, this Vision is gonna be a card where you don't need it in this matchup. You kind of are trying to find what you need right now. You kind of use that last ink with that develop your brain, and you're really hoping to get a turn three play that's not just another TPO. I mean, that's still fine because you still get to ramp, but it's not the best case scenario.
As it looks like we have that develop as we are able to use that ink. Interesting to note that Sky was talking about that two cost Vision of the Future not being trying to play it can get awkward and clunky. You got a nice little demonstration of that in that particular spot. As we get the Vision of the Future down into the inkwell, we are going to take a moment to develop our brain, as we have this Ashanti. I don't call her name's not Ashanti, it's just Shanti, but I call her Ashanti because of the popular R&B singer of the early to mid 2000s. My days are indeed cold without you. Okay, Shanti out there, singer five, I want to say.
I'm too young for that. I don't know who that
You don't
is.
know who Ashanti is? Oh
It sounds
man,
familiar, but man, that's old school.
come on, man, Ashanti, come on, Murder Inc., dude. No, come
No,
on,
no,
man.
man,
I feel
that's
maybe I am
out.
old. Maybe I am old. I can't. That's some Ashanti disrespect. But check it out, man, youngster. Get into the music catalog
I'll
and
check it out. I'll check it
all
out.
right,
Sounds
it's
pretty
worth it.
good. Sounds pretty good. We do
Uh,
see that Tipo come down, and that's pretty much it. We could get to Goliath next turn. So we're still not falling too far behind. We're getting to that curve where we can follow up with the Hades and the Vince. This was probably our slowest turn, and we're gonna see here how Dan can answer back again, trying to find his combo pieces and set up how he can counteract the strategy.
And this could be a way to blow this thing wide open, as you got the Stitch, which is a phenomenal discard option. Now you have the ability to sing this Circle of Life and really start to apply the pressure if you want it, or maybe just quest. And no, we will hit the sing. And look at that. The Stitch has returned, and that's two more cards being added to your hand. However, you are playing into this Goliath next turn. And the Goliath can come down and force you into these awkward discard them all type scenarios. So interesting thing to note. You do have these very problematic singers, and you have this Under the Sea as well, as Yzma is coming on through as well. So the hits just keep on coming. Another Stitch is gone. This is crazy. I love this deck. I'm so in, dude.
Yeah, I'm liking that we're seeing the Surfer Stitch being played more in this match, being able to draw two cards, that card all the way from set one, making a comeback 10 sets later, still being played, still being used in these decks. And you can't go wrong with drawing cards. Also, that high stated willpower is very strong, and questing for two, it's inkable. Overall, a very +8 card.
And I wanted to say, if we had more time to really introduce these players, I want to say both of these Illumineers do a ton for the community, not just as being great players, but they both serve functions as great ambassadors to the game with their content creation. PodCon is probably one of the best pieces of competitive content you're ever going to find, so I would check them out. Also, the Forbidden Mountain. They make very great competitive content so if you want to get over there and check those guys out, make sure you're supporting what they're doing on YouTube. But more importantly, everybody needs to tune in how they're maintaining their game boards. You see how clean and orderly all the stuff is? Can we just really make sure everyone's looking at what's happening here and duplicate that energy, as we are going to set up that Goliath on 6, trying to force some discards. Unfortunately for you, I don't think you're going to get one, and you're going to lose a sizable portion of your board in the process, as Hades and Vincenzo are going to have to be the follow-up.
Yeah, Hades and Vincenzo, very strong cards, but at the same time, depending on the board state, depending on the state of the game, they could also be pretty slow because they're just removing one target. And if you don't have characters on the board to support them by being able to raise, get some more lore on the board, do some challenges. But again, with the Circle of Life deck doing what it does, going wide, setting up its combo pieces, it's Dan right here. I think Dan's in a pretty okay spot.
Yeah, and because you understand, I believe he has the opportunity to sing a Under the Sea as well to get a nice quality plus, and then we have that chip as a potential play. I don't know if he's keeping those cards or he's probably going to discard those cards. I'm not sure, but I think singing the Under the Sea here is nice because it's going to allow you to. No, he's getting rid of it. Never mind. Forget I said anything. He's getting rid of that, electing to bypass the under the sea play. Maybe he just wants to start gaining some lore, and the Mulan and the Tipo aren't really doing much to oppose him. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, here he's trying to do what he can to fight back, getting out more characters on the board, still digging for his pieces, finding what he wants. And it's very awesome to see Dan here, where he did get his Golden Mickey this year in Milwaukee, seeing him
Mm-hmm.
pilot Amber Emerald. Very awesome to see here, taking it again here for the LCCC Season 3 and this round 2 game against Sapphire Steel Kawa. Very intense. What are your thoughts on Kawa right now? What do you think he's thinking right now while
I,
Dan is figuring out what he wants to do here?
I think Kawa's like, I need you to just put less characters into the board because this Goliath's going to have to start swinging here soon. And Kawa's hoping that he can get a lot of utility out of this Goliath, and maybe if he can keep some characters around as the Mulan goes down to the Ursula Vanessa. I guess that's why you don't need the Under the Sea because you can just challenge and banish these characters, and then get another quest in. Challenge and quest is the name of the game, leaving you with just one Goliath alone and unafraid. We still can ink. Yeah, I'm thinking Kyle was like, man, I just need to figure out a way to clear these bodies off the board. Maybe we can get some more headless horseman shenanigans like we saw Lucas or like we saw Sky do last round. As we're just showing the hand here, and it is
Mhm.
just two one play characters. Oh my goodness, it's your whole turn essentially. Feels not great here coming in from the Sapphire Steel point of view.
And we do see that Goliath again being a double-edged sword, allowing Dan to refill two cards in his hand. And we do see that Circle of Life finally get there. And Kawa here did draw a bolt, so you do have another form of removal. The problem is you don't have that much ink to be able to go double spell. So best case scenario here, you can choose to either sing bolt and remove something on the board, or you can challenge with Goliath and then play the Hades here, probably removing that Surfer Stitch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you send the Surfer Stitch every single time. He is probably the biggest threat. Just his stats are so massive. And looking at Dan's board, it is notably the characters aren't challenging for too terribly much, as this Goliath can just start to wreak havoc. But unfortunately for you, I think the Goliath is just going to be a bit too slow, as we are singing here. Interesting. I think you might have to just to get more value from your Goliath. I think getting that singer off the board, it's the Scrooge who's going to get blasted. Never mind. We're going for the lore. These Illuminators on a different level. Drawing two for, oh, Tipo one jump. Oh my goodness. Cut it out, dude. Cut it out, says Kawa. I love the face cam in there as he tried to show his best poker face. It wasn't good. Okay, it wasn't good. Oh, it is 6-0. I'm so sorry. Let me update that really quick. As if I have my Goliath and I'm drawing Tipo and one jump ahead in that scenario, I'm crashing out. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean that's just the name of the game, right? The deck is built with all these powerful end game cards, but there's gonna be those weak cards that you're just gonna see in the mid to the late game, and this is the spots where you don't want to see them. You're hoping to see maybe Tinkerbell, another Hades, something that can just answer these characters, but this one jump ahead and Tipo, just not doing too much. This is why I'm personally on the edge about playing, extra ramp. But even
Mhm.
if this was a plea clear, if it's one jump, at the end of the day, they're just cards that aren't going to do anything for you in these spots in the game.
Yeah, you need we need to bring grab your swords back, and you need to add it to your hand right now, and then play it, and then Tinkerbell or something. I don't know, mob song. I don't know what you need, but this is just a lot of activity on Dan's side as we set ourselves up. We now have the ability to get a circle of life to be sang yet again, and we're bringing back. Oh my goodness, who are we going for? We're going all the way back for the
Another
bottom
surfer.
Surfer Stitch. I like how you pass the Surfer Stitch for another Surfer Stitch. Maybe it's a favorite. Maybe that's his patent pending Surfer Stitch that he enjoys the most.
Could be the foil. He's
Yeah,
like,
could be.
let me get the foil version. So he draws 2 cards, just putting up more pressure on the board. He's already at 6 right now, threatening at least another 6, 7, 8 lore right now on the board. And Kawa with just a Hades and a Goliath. And then
Yeah.
Dan's also going to be able to refill his hand again with Goliath. Has no need to remove that on the board. He has not. There's no pressure coming in from Kawa's side.
Yeah, this Goliath seems like a liability in this exact scenario as he's like, please clear this thing for me. I don't want him anymore. As Dan gets 2 more cards, it's another tramp, which is just going to keep the hits, keep the party train rocking. Hold up. I ain't heard no bell. It's horse time. Is the horse going to be enough? Probably not, but I'm playing it just for the vibrational frequency. But I am trying to, I think we can send it. No scoops, man, as we get all the way to 11 lore.
What are your thoughts on Spooky Sight? What are your thoughts on Spooky Sight against
Oh,
these aggro decks? I know, I mean, we obviously know that it's very good against these aggro strategies, but it's a card that a lot of Sapphire Steel players were on in the beginning. They dropped it. It's right now I have a love-and-hate relationship for it. Not sure if it's correct to play it or not. Obviously, if your local meta is full of dogs and aggro decks, play it. But what are your thoughts on the card?
I mean, me personally, I think with the prevalence of Amethyst Steel, I just didn't like. I thought it was good against Amethyst Steel. In theory, it should be good against Amethyst Steel. But in my experience, playing that card against Amethyst Steel usually results in me getting clapped up in short order, right after it happens. I think the card is great. I think there's a place for it. Maybe when this meta does rotate to more aggression, as I assess that to be something that is going to be happening with the rise of Sapphire Amethyst, maybe a card can come back in. Maybe as a one of, especially if you're playing Visions, you can find the Spooky Sight. But the
Mm-hmm.
card being uninkable and just so bad in a variety, like the blue green, it's not doing anything. Like you're not spooking anything at all. In the Ruby Amethyst, I mean, you probably get some. You can get a little spooky there, but still, they can just rebuild so much, and it just seems so unfun when that happens. As Kawa is going to read the writing on the wall and just get all the way up out of there, and man, oh man, you're going to need a whole new change of circumstance in order to match what Dan has coming your way. What does Kawa need to do to make this thing a little less painful there in this going to the game
Man,
number 2?
I think that horseman hit for 8, by the way. I think that horseman hit for 8 and took
Did he
out that
really?
Surfer
I
Stitch.
missed it.
Yeah, I took out that Surfer Stitch. That was crazy. Yeah, so what Kawa needs to do now against this deck is, again, same strategy. Nothing really changes. You want to be able to ramp on turn 2, preferably with the Tipo or so, get to that Cinderella. And now the question is here is, well, we saw Goliath have a negative impact, right? Because Dan was able to refill his hand. But I think here, since you're on the play, you're more inclined to dump your hand, kind of like how Sky was saying last round. You're more inclined to play these Strengths of the Raging Fires, dump your hand and refill it. And the main game plan is, preferably, I want to see some Tinkerbells. I need to see some more Tinkerbells come down.
Mm-hmm.
The Tinkerbell just helps stall the boards out, being able to potentially remove 2 characters via 1 challenge. So Kawa right now just needs to hope to find the perfect curve just to make sure he double ramps and gets to 6, 7, 8 drop characters.
Yeah, and I think I looking at Dan's deck, maybe I can pull them up side by side. If I can get a picture of Dan's deck and Lucas's deck, Dan's deck seems like it's built a little more for the consistency of it. Lucas said he came in here with the idea, I just want to show up, I want to show out, I want to high roll, and I want to vibe. And I like that energy. But Dan seemed like it's built more for the grind. I think the Ursula, Vanessa, and the Scrooges and the Yzmas, you're just really all in on having a bit more consistency, and I do enjoy that. He's notably not playing that singer Mickey Mouse either, electing to play the Shanti. So I like what I'm seeing here from the deck. And Kawa, he didn't get those notes from Sky. We didn't upload the aerials in there, so I think his deck just is not gonna. It doesn't seem like it has that powerful blast to be able to catch up when this deck is just getting out of pocket. So it's gonna be an uphill climb for Kawa, but I think he's got the skill to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah, when you're on the play, you definitely have a little bit more advantage since you're able to make the first move. But when you're on the draw, I can definitely see her in this matchup. You can't really just do anything when it comes to the whole combo since we're not playing any copies of Pete and we aren't playing any copies of Spooky Sight either. So if the board does go wide, we're going to have a hard time trying to counter it. So we do see here the mulligans. Looks like the mulligans are happening, and looks like Kawa is going to decide to send everything back except for one Cinderella. That is arguable because you want to make sure you ramp in this matchup. So we'll see here if Kawa misses, and maybe that one card could have made the huge difference. What are
That
your
is,
thoughts on that? Keeping a
I
Cinderella on play.
man, I'm telling you right now, if I don't have that turn two ramp, it's all gone, dude. Cinderella, we'll figure her out another day. I've missed ramp enough times, and this Sapphire Steel deck might be a. I think it's worse than Sapphire Amethyst not having turn two ramp. I think it just you just gotta have it. Your deck
Yeah.
on turn three is so bad. You're doing something so lame. You're probably gonna have to play a Vision of the Future or something just so lame on three without that ramp. So it's just actually mandatory, but he's like, hey man, I'm in this position. I think if I want to win, I got to take some chances. I have to gamble. I trust my deck. I have these one jump ahead. I've done the mathematics. I've done the the arithmetic, and I should be good. And let's see if you're good or you're punished, and you're immediately rewarded for your gambit as you have that one jump ahead. You do have that develop your brain on one as well, so you probably could have got there. I think.
Yeah, we do see him get the curve that he wants with the one jump ahead, with the Cinderella, followed up with the Goliath, and has a bunch of different choices for to ink those horsemen. It's not going to be useful right now. Well, I guess I could say that the horseman is useful in the late game, right? Because you're able
Mm-hmm.
to disrupt your opponent's hand. You can remove their action cards, being able to disrupt Prince Philip combo plays. But right now, it's just way too high of a card to be thinking about right now. So you're going to go ahead and ink it. And it looks like he think he's
He might
deciding
be
to
thinking
play
about it.
the hook.
He might be on some turbo ramp. He's that's a man doing some mathematics. He's like, I have this Cinderella on 4. I have this Namari. I can double ramp, and maybe you can get to this Headless Horseman soon enough. If you go double one jump Namari, never mind. He's like, it won't work as he sent it down because you could have one jump ahead and played the Cinderella. One jump, sing one jump with the Cinderella, play the Namari, and you're on like a billion ink right there. I'm not sure the mathematics there, but you probably could have got this guy out a bit sooner and really just start to jack up, Dan's hand because this deck does need to set up, and you're gonna have to hoard some cards in your hand in order to fulfill your combo obligations. Headless Horseman says nay to all of that. You see what I did there?
I
Nay.
did see that. I like that. You have a nice horse impression. And we do see here Dan kind of mimic the same thing. He inks a Surfer Stitch, a card that he's not going to be thinking about playing this early in the game. And we do see here that Kawa drew into a Tipo. So what do you do here? You play the Tipo, you play the one jump, or
I'm
you
I'm
ink the one
I'm all
jump?
in. I'm all in on the T, and we are going to get rid of the Headless Horseman. I thought we'd be all in on the Headless Horseman. I like
Yeah,
it.
that's
I'm
interesting.
gambling, man. I'm a gambling man, and then I go Namari, and then I go Cinderella Namari, and just Headless Horseman, and just try to jack up Dan's hand. Maybe that's a bad play, but again, at this point, we are gambling. I think this matchup is just going to be hard mode no matter what. And if you want to win, you got to risk it for the biscuit. As we are going to get that Ashanti one more time, kicking out that tramp. My days are cold without you, and it's hurting. I can't believe you don't know who Ashanti is, man. That's just breaking my heart, dude. What's the
You need
other?
to send me a playlist. Send me a
I will.
playlist.
I will. We're going to talk about some Ashanti after this, man.
Hey, I'm still a fan of some what is that, 80s, 90s? I'm still a fan of some 80s, 90s
Man,
music.
this is like early 2000s, man. That she
Oh,
was.
early 2000s.
Yeah, they had a good run, man. Her. What's love got to do? Got to do with it. You know who Ja Rule is?
I know Jaro. I know Jaro.
Okay, Ashanti, Ja Rule, they had like 5 number 1 hits, man. They were killing it, dude. They had a whole little situation there for a while.
I need to check it out. You need to send me that playlist.
I will. As we got the Goliath now finding his
He
way
inked the
down
Goliath?
into the ink. Well, you had no choice. I think you want this Cinderella and you want this Namari as a follow up, maybe to get another
Oh,
ramp in and just fix your hand a little bit as we're
I don't
just
know.
crunching the numbers.
I think you always
Yeah,
go. I think you always go Goliath there. I think you would just
for
ink the
sure. Yeah,
Namari.
and
I
mess
think
up
you
the
just
hand
inked
a
the
bit.
Namari. Yeah, I think you just inked the Namari because you have the one jump either way, so you're guaranteed. But I guess maybe he was scared of. I don't know if he was watching the stream last one. Maybe he didn't want Dan to also use Goliath. Also, yeah, inking the
Yeah.
Namari, kind of emptying out his hand here, going all out. Interesting.
Yeah, I think I do like that Goliath now that you mention it on that next turn because you are on the play. Goliath on the play is the way, is what I was told by someone. You know what I mean? That I just made that up. That sounds kind of good because you are going first and just ramping hard to Goliath and then just blasting your opponent's hand seems very very optimal in this exact scenario. But you were kind of baited last time. Maybe just trying not to get baited again. But it looks like you didn't have it. But Dan doesn't know that these are these blue screens. Your opponent cannot see what is in your hand. So maybe Dan is thinking like he ain't the Goliath. Certainly, he's about to Goliath me. Maybe
This
next
turn,
turn.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think as a Sapphire Steel player, I always value making sure I have a plan B because this deck is very punishing. If you do get punished, so not being able to have another draw engine in your hand is pretty weird. If he happens to draw like Hook, Tipo back to back, that's just gonna set him back. So he's kind of going all out on this, banking on this Hades and this Stinger. But we'll see here if it rewards him or punishes him.
I mean, that's we mentioned it. I keep saying I'm not gonna keep. I'm gonna keep repeating myself. You just gotta risk it. You gotta keep risking it and keep rolling the dice. As Hades, the Infernal Schemer. Now you might want to save that Hades for a potential Prince Philip, as the Tinkerbell is gonna go on down into the Inkwell. However, that Shanti is representing a powerful singer. She is a singer 5. So currently, as it stands, you can sing together a potential Circle of Life next turn, which Dan does have access to. So in this exact situation, I think it could have some value to send the Hades now, but I would love to send that Hades on a Prince Philip counter, a clapback. As it looks like Vincenzo is gearing up to pop potentially Yzma or the Bobby Zimmerowski.
This is what you like to see as a Sapphire Steel player, being able to have your Vinces and Hades back to back. And this is like the main strategy with Sapphire Steel and how they win in certain matchups is it's really hard for some decks just to be able to have to answer two very strong characters back to back. And in those cases where you have a third, whether it be a Horseman or a third, second Hades or a second Vince, these 3 7 cost characters coming out, super hard to deal with. That Vince is now putting 3 lore pressure on the board. And we do see here Dan setting up his Prince Philip combo, having to reconnect this game real quick. It was too much spice going on.
Yeah, they were cooking too hard. So we're gonna take a quick we're gonna cut a quick break really fast as the as the just the feed kind of got lost a little bit. You guys are not missing any action, and just like that, the action has returned. So yeah, I
Real
love
quick,
I
real quick with the production.
and maybe there's a world where you could just start raining these big boats, boat after boat after boat, and hopefully that can be enough to just start questing for you. As this Scrooge McDuck has now set up this Prince
Mhm.
Philip into the discard, and now you have the ability to sing that as well. So if you top deck a Malicious Mean and Scary, you can blast this big boat filled board, and there is another one. I'm sending it again. We're
Well,
sending.
he has a mean and scary in hand, right? Or no?
No, he doesn't. He has the Circle of Life dog. Oh, there's a Malicious Mean and Scary hand. You're
Yeah,
right.
I
You're
think
right.
yeah. So he set it up, and now he's hoping to get the Circle of Life off. But the problem is JDC is I don't see that happening with this board because those singers.
Yeah, you need to be able to get. You have to sing it in this scenario, and he's doing a very good job of keeping that singing power down while
Mhm.
adding a lot of questing power to the board. I believe he's still at 2 lore from Kawa, though. As in this spot, I think we might have a scenario where the information might be a little bit wrong on the screen. No big deal. Pause is up. Shout out to the judge. We're pausing or requesting.
We're doing a whole lot. We're doing something.
Oh, they
We're
can't.
drawing cards.
I don't think they can. I don't think they can see what's happening. We're having a little bit of connectivity issues. The players are locked in and they're still playing, so we're gonna have to try to keep score manually as the players are getting loose and active. There is the
The
Hades. You did a
Hades.
great job of holding on to that Hades, and now you have a super powerful Strength of Raging Fire as well. Strength is going to come on through and blast the Ashanti, and now this is looking so good. These top decks have been
Oh man,
amazing for Kawa.
this is crazy how inking that Goliath. He went all. I guess he still ended up inking the Namari, right? Because he still ended up just playing. He just went all out for the 7 cost character plays and just said, well, you know what? If you want to try to get your big characters out, I'm gonna get my big characters out. But the problem is my characters remove your characters, and I quest for a lot.
All right, so we're taking another. We're having some technical issues right there. You guys are not missing any action. It looks like Kawa has seized initiative of the game board again and is putting himself in a position to quest out. It's going to require Dan to have a nice little Hail Mary here in this spot, as you do not have the singers established. You have full combo access to full combo, but you just need the ability to sing both aspects of the combo in order to deploy them to their maximum. But you're at 14 lore for Kawa, and I don't know if that is going to be something that you can get done, as Kawa took a huge gamble, and we were doubting it, but Kawa is a real one, man. You got to trust in your deck, man. That's tip number one, because that worked out so nice. I thought it was going to backfire tremendously for the Irishman, but in this position, it worked out so good for Kawa. As we are going to keep going. And wait a minute, what happened there?
Yeah, we're scooping it up. Looks like
Oh,
we're just
okay.
scooping it up
Whew,
here.
I thought he pulled off something there. I was like, man, what did I
Put
miss?
out Prince Philip combo out of Disney Magic thin air. But no, Kawa takes game two on the play. He was able to just do what we talked about, right? You want to just be able to ramp, and he did end up drawing that one drop ahead. He ultra mega ramps, got to basically empty out his hand, and he drew these big characters back to back. These Vinces questing for three, such powerful cards. It's just so crazy to have that stat line of 2-8 strength and the willpower. And Dan just couldn't get his singers established. He did have the Prince Philip combo in hand, but with no singers on board, he just can't get the combo off.
Yeah, that was rough. And kudos to Kawa for identifying that, allowing Dan to not be able to sync. Because had he missed one of those Vincenzos or one of those Hades or allowed that Circle of Life combo to go off, I think he loses immediately on the spot. And the game is just totally different. This is the blade running, the wire detail that is required. Oh, inch or a mile, baby, is all it takes sometimes. And that game could have been tremendously different if you just if you had the ability to get that song turned off, play the malicious mean, and bring back that Prince Philip. So cool game, cool turn. I'm loving these matchups so far, and I'm loving Sapphire Steel versus this Circle of Dog. I want to see more Circle of Dog or Circle of Life. What you call it? Circle of Life, then I guess, because we don't want to call it Circle of Dog, but it's a vibe, man. I'm with it.
Yeah, I really do. I am a really huge fan of graveyard or discard deck. So you're able to reutilize the characters that were banished and bring them back on the board via effects. I think that's super interesting. And maybe near in the future, we'll see some card mechanics that prevent that. I want to see something like that in Lorcana that prevents your opponents being able to shift on their turn, preventing from bringing characters out from the discard. What are your thoughts on some cards like that? Kind of like basically other Pete's, but that stop different things.
I like it. I have been a fan. I like Pete. I like more interaction. Like how Pete was a nice form of interaction, but I don't want to go too strong with it. I think of a card like it's a card called Skill Drain. I think in Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe old school Yu-Gi-Oh players might remember a card called Skill Drain. I think a card like that, like your next turn, none of your opponent's cards have effects. Like they all become vanillas just for a turn. I think that could be super funny to just your characters. None of your opponent's characters have an effect for one turn, and that just kind of would add some uniqueness to the game. Maybe not a permanent thing, but just a one turn. When you play this character, next turn your opponent has no effects. And just see what people can do. I think that could be a really, really cool little wrinkle that we can do. But I don't want to do too much because I don't want to get into like a floodgate kind of thing and play that kind of weird
Everyone
game plan.
plays the same card. It's just mandatory in every deck.
Yeah. Oh, villain in the building says Kaiku. Kaiku will be that's what you're saying. Like you can't take anything from the discard pile, and then when he quests or when he banishes a character, get a card out of your opponent's discard to remove. But that's going to include an out of play zone, which I'm not super hot on. I don't know if we should have an out of play zone. Yeah,
that is interesting because that would be pretty cool to like. If you don't prevent the effects from happening, we kind of already saw something like that this set with all these new fiend cards, all these new set 10 cards that utilize the discard, being able to have more discard if cards were sent to your discard, gain some lore. So it's really awesome to see every set in Lorcana some new mechanics that come out, and I can't wait for the next set to see what new mechanic, because this set we also got boost, so that was also something that was super awesome to see. So I can't wait next set to see something new. And we do have the game here started. To note, Kawa did mulligan 7. You have to mulligan 7 as a Sapphire Steel player, especially on a draw, because you need to find your turn 2 ramp. And Kawa did find it, but we see here that he doesn't have a Cinderella to play on turn 3.
But I got to correct you. We don't mulligan in Lorcana. We only alter. Just so you know. I mean, there it is.
That is true. That is true. We do alter there.
I'm busting your chops. But that is a very fair point. But you have your turn 4 and beyond is looking kind of chopped right here. Your 5 turn is looking real chopped. It's looking like it's going to be a Vision of the Future type beats unless your deck can bail you out. And the Mogul is going to make this thing so much more ugly, as Kawa here is going to show the hand, and Dan's going to get a sneak peek of what he is going to be going up against. And a player like Dan, armed with this information alone, just knowing your curve and knowing your lines, I think that's going to be just that alone, even if you don't get the discard, just knowing what your opponent has access to is going to give him a nice advantage position, I would say, as Mowgli on 2 seems super strong in this metagame.
Yeah, there are some players who, once they have information on your hand, they really just map out the next 3, 4, 5, 6 turns. They map out what card you're going to ink, what lines you're trying to do. It's just so much information. And some players might just, oh, let me look at your hand. Okay, cool. Just get rid of a card. But, take advantage, right? Take advantage. Look at your opponent's hand. Think of their lines of plays, because having that information is super huge in this type of game.
Yeah, now we stare down. So Kawa hand on head. I'm loving these face cams that we have over here, as he is kind of stressed out about just that curve. Maybe you're thinking of another double ramp situation as the headless horseman goes back down to the equal. I'm a gambling man. He's a gambling man too, as he's proven before. But man, I go for a quadruple ramp and get this horseman moving and grooving, man. I'd send him, dude. I cheapo, sail, one
It's a lot
jump.
of ramp.
I'm ramping to the moon, baby. And there is the Tipo growing sun who's going to come on through. Or maybe just ramp into this Goliath. But Goliath on the draw,
I think I
I
think I think
want to
you
stay
I
away.
think I think you're forced to get to this Goliath on the draw, just because of how awkward our hands is.
Yeah.
We're inclined right now to just go all out ramp and try to get these big characters out as fast as possible. And if I'm Kawa, I'm hoping here that Dan just doesn't have the cards he needs to do the things that his deck does, which we kind of see in these high roly decks, kind of similar to Emerald Sapphire, to where these decks kind of lose on their own, right? They lose to themselves because they
Mm-hmm.
don't find the pieces they need. And we do see here awarded Prince Philip come down. And that's pretty much it for Dan's turn. Nothing too crazy as an explosive start from game one.
Yeah, electing not to go for any lore with the Mowgli or the Bobby Zimmerowski. Interesting indeed. I think that those quests might have been saved. Maybe there's a punish there that I'm missing out on of why you wouldn't want to exert, but you clearly want those characters around to be able to sing. So you're just taking no chances, and I can respect it. As this Tipo growing son would not have been able to match with the Mowgli or the Bobby Zimmerowski, but still
Mm-hmm.
we are vibing magnificently as we get rid of the Goliath again. So Goliath is gone here. Kawa just not respecting the Goliath Gargoyle clan leader here, just kicking that steel 6 cost character to the discard pile, and I don't absolutely hate it. I think it's a vibe.
Yeah, and I also don't see why Dan did not quest last turn. Very interesting. Could have gotten some free lore there, since that Tipo can't challenge and banish anything on the board here. And very awkward to see again Dan ink that Goliath, just saying, "Hey, I do not want to give my opponent cards in their hand." Although that Dan could play card like Surfer Stitch, it comes with a cost. You have to play a lot of ink, and if Dan doesn't have these shortcuts, for example, a card like Circle of Life,
Mm-hmm.
he can't refill his hand, right? So here we're looking at a pretty weak board. Is kind of doing that poker face with the warded Prince Philip, saying, "Hey, I have this shift target. I can, do the combo whenever I want." And as the opposing player, it's kind of hard to play around that, right? We've seen scenarios where even myself, do I commit to the board? Do I not commit to the board? It's such a tricky play to have to play around. Sorry.
Oh, 100%. And he is making great use of this super awkward turn, as we're going to able to use the one jump ahead with the Tipo and then play that Vision of the Future. So gaining a little bit more clarity on how you want the rest of this game to shake out. Picking one card, maybe going for that Tinkerbell. If you can go Tinkerbell, shift Tinkerbell, potentially you can clear that Prince Philip and the entire board before they could represent the shift. Getting these singers off the board is going to be paramount, as we are going to take. Did we select what do we select? We select Tipo there. Was that Tipo?
Looks like we got the Tipo.
Maybe just
Still
want some
just
ink. Quality ink. Okay, okay.
can't be mad at that. Can't be mad at that. You look at the top cards in your hand. Man, this is a
Oh,
very,
did he
very,
sell the
very
Ezra?
slow.
Did he sell the Ezraite C as well? How to? Because he, I'm so confused. Maybe I'm tripping. Okay,
He
okay,
one
okay.
jump last turn for sure.
Got it. And then he inked the Goliath, and I probably looked away. I probably looked away, but I think we are going to have the ability to be able to get the Scrooge McDuck now. So you can set up the let's see, that's 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now all these characters are representing a scene together, Circle of Life next turn, but you're also representing Vincenzo on your own turn. So interesting indeed. Vincenzo lines up quite nicely with the Scrooge McDuck, getting that super annoying. Have you had a chance to play against the Scrooge McDuck? This thing can get super annoying from time to time.
Yeah, I have played against it actually. Someone at the Dallas 5K a few weeks ago actually used it against me, and I had to read the card. And it's always a fun time reading cards. Like, huh, what does this do? And a very interesting card. I do like cards in general that are able to filter, discard, draw, and discard a card here. So super nice tech there. And we see Hirakawa thinking what he wants to ink here, and again trying to commit to the same game plan he had last game, where he wanted to empty out his hand, play these big bodies back to back, but that Goliath not there anymore. So really here he's just gonna have to either play the Vince or the Tinkerbell. Very very unfortunate that that Prince Philip has board, so you're not able to remove it from the board. And here's the tricky part, right? Because if you commit to the board, you always have that opportunity, that chance to get Prince Philip combo.
And especially if you exert your characters as well, you can kind of set yourself up for if you exert this Vincenzo, maybe there's a world you can have enough characters in play to be able to sing them, sing the and the chip comes on through. Oh my goodness! So chip can be played here and can be able to snipe that Tinkerbell from hand, leaving you in top deck mode. A little bit of discard as we
Oh,
are.
very unfortunate.
Oh, a little bit of discard there, and that's going to really set Kawa back a little bit. And you were top decking heavy last game, and the top decks slow
Oof.
down dramatically as this
I gotta hold on
Mulan.
to that.
And I gotta send it. Mulan's got to get out of here. She got to go into the inkwell because I'm top
No, no,
decking this.
no. You hold on to it. You hold on to it.
I'm
You always
top
gotta.
decking the Headless Horseman next turn. Believe it. That Mulan's in the inkwell. I
Oh
love it.
man.
We're gambling, baby. I love it. This Headless Horseman is gonna come and you're gonna do 50,000 damage to somebody. Believe it. Oh,
Man, that under the sea can come down and just send that Vince to the bottom of the deck. So if Dan does sing it, it's going to be a huge tempo gain on his side. And Nakawa is just left top ducking. And this is what I was talking about of when you want to get rid of that Goliath, you leave yourself empty, and Sapphire Steel cannot afford to not have a draw engine on the board.
yeah. I'm so sorry. The lore was not accurate. Kawa is at 5 and Dan is at 1. I do apologize, but you're in a scenario to where you can send this Mowgli in on a kamikaze operation into the Vincenzo, and then you can, or you can just under the sea here as well and clear the Vincenzo. Interesting, man. You got lines for days if you want it. You can send both of these characters under the sea, and it looks like you will elect to go with the Circle of Life approach. And I think I like that a little bit more as now the Prince Philip has arrived, and we're going to clear that Vincenzo. And I do think this play is going to be one of those decisive moments. And to power that along, the tramp is going to come on through and just continue to set yourself up for the mid to late game as this match is coming to a close here for Kawa. This is looking so bad. Horseman one
Yeah,
time. Here he is,
yeah.
baby. Feel it.
Let's see if we
Feel
can
it.
get the
Ooh.
horseman. Oh, Cinderella.
Nah, not Cinderella.
Yeah, this is just an unfortunate spot to be in. If you don't have any cards in your hand, you're just top decking and you're just banking on hopefully you draw the cards that you need. And here he needed a Hades to try to slow the lower down, remove that Prince Philip. But Kawa has another circle of life, so can choose to bring out something else from the discard. And now Kawa here just thinking, well, I guess I can either play a Cinderella or hold on to it. Probably gonna see it come down on the board.
Yeah, and that is just that is an unfortunate situation here for Kyle, who is holding one Cinderella and a dream. They do come true, not like this. As I think you gotta just play it. I mean, as sad as it sounds, maybe just put it out and just hope for the best. As there she is, because you're all in on this headless horseman. I think if you're gonna win, you're gonna need Headless Horseman to come, and you're gonna need him to do a magnificent rendition of the coolest thing ever, sang by Headless Horseman. I'm not sure how that song goes, but it's not gonna be good. As the Stitch is about to come back, more resources abound as the Prince Philip is going to add more. Oh, another Circle of Life being saying, oh man, and he can continue to flood too. Ouch, baby. Very
And it's
ouch.
so nice seeing this deck in action, seeing how it just flows, all the cards combing off each other, being able to keep getting these resources in your hand, putting this pressure on the board while also removing characters on your side of your opponent. So just here, turning everything sideways and saying, well, I'm putting you on a turn 2 clock, and there's nothing you can do to answer this board. I just win the following turn.
Yeah, I like the play a lot. Dan really running through the finish line on this one. The deck actually popped off. Like I
Oh,
said, I
second Cinderella.
I knew it. They come in bunches. Oh, Cinderella. I'm so over it. I'm over Cinderella. Okay, I thought she was lit. I still like the card, but I'm actually over the dreams come true Cinderella. It's just so annoying in these exact scenarios. When I need you on 4, you don't show up. I need Horseman and you show up. Get out of my face, dude. I'm so done with Cinderella. But Dan has me feeling incredibly comfortable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's exact damage on board. You can slam that Cinderella into the Prince Philip to potentially survive, but at what cost? I think it is just going to be a little too slow, a little too long in the tooth, and I think that is going to get it done. And I believe the concession is coming in as Kawa is telling the story of what actually went wrong in that match, and we're going to hear from him as well. So it looks like Dan is going to achieve the victory here, but let's just make sure that's the case, as Kawa still is in a never give up attitude position, and there it is. I think just like that, the game comes to an end. Dan is going to be your winner and gets it done on this action-packed, star-studded day of Lorcana, of Disney Lorcana. So let's get over back into the interview booth and let's see what these players have to say about what just happened. I'll meet you there. Oh, baby. Here we go. Greetings, gentlemen. Gentlemen. We have Dan in the building. And this is a different Dan, not to be confused with the Dan that we already met who shared the broadcast booth. This is Dan, the player who has arrived and showed out playing your Circle of Life. Are we just calling it Circle? What are we calling the deck then, Dan, if it's not Circle of Dog?
It's just Circle of Life.
Just Circle of Life, that's it? Man, we need a little more creativity. We need some creativity.
Circle of Dan. What do you mean? It's the Circle of Dan.
If it's real honesty, it's Shanti Circle of Life.
Okay.
I think that is like the biggest difference between what I'm doing, what I've seen a lot of other players doing. I think that's it. Like, if you want to name it something specific, then just call it Shanti Circle or something like that. If you want to be creative.
No, you gotta. You're playing the deck, Dan. You gotta name the deck, man. That's part of the thing.
While I agree with you sometimes, I'm also not like here to put some claim of fame of a deck. Like I don't care, man. Like you guys can name it whatever you want. It's just not Circle of Dogs because the only dog is Tramp. That was my stance.
Okay. Well, Bobby Zimmerowski is a dog as well. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, but he doesn't say it. All right.
But either way, man, I thought the match was incredible, man. Again, these matches, all 3 of these matches we've seen today have just been absolutely outstanding. You guys both played extremely well. You got the edge there, Dan. You got it done. I enjoy the deck. I enjoy the Circle of Life. Circle of Shanti in the building. But really quickly, what I've been asking everyone today, can you just kind of talk about your deck again and any changes you made between the previous round and this round, and what are some of the strengths and weaknesses for your deck? Just keep in mind there are some players who might be watching this LCC. They're new to the game. They're new to that strategy. So just try to keep that in mind as you talk about your strategy.
You want to go Kawa or me? Me or Kawa?
You go ahead first, man. Your deck was the star of the show today.
So the fun thing about the way I designed my deck is that I thought we were going to be open deck list.
Mm-hmm.
So in round 1, I think I had like 7 or 8 1-ofs in my deck, and the reason why I did that on in particular was because I thought the tournament format was going to be open deck list, and I wanted to make it really difficult for my opponents to test against it, because when you have that many like toolbox things that you can just like put into play, and just like they have to always respect everything. So therefore, it just makes the variance and it makes it more difficult. So I tried to like game the tournament a little bit, and then it ended up being closed deck list, and none of it mattered. So for this one, where I'm also currently working on a guide for the deck, because I do not think that the aura around this deck of that it's high roll, I think that's all hodgepodge.
Mm-hmm.
I think this deck is very good. I think it's very well positioned, and I think it's a deck that once people sit down and actually play more than like 3 games with it and learn through the flows and through the lines, that this is a very real deck in the metagame. So that's why in this version that you guys saw on stream today, it was a lot more clean. It was a lot more cut, because like that's kind of what I want to deliver to people before they get too involved and too invested in like trying all the crazy ideas that I have. Seeing a like straightforward deck list version of it really goes a long way.
Absolutely, and we were able to see how high impact that can be with some of the plays that you took. Just take us back to that. I believe it was game number 2. Kawa was sending it, and there was a play where you had the opportunity to quest, and you elected not to. Can you just explain why you didn't want to quest there, or were you trying to preserve your bodies to be able to sing that Circle of Life early, or what was the thought there? I think you had like a Tipo Mowgli, and he had the Tipo. You could have quested there.
Yeah, like any damage left on the
Uh
table
huh.
for Tinkerbell is bad.
Right.
Anytime, like even him just running Tipo and bouncing off, it makes it that much easier for his Tinkerbell to pick me off, and it's really important. I actually say the hardest point for me in the game was whether or not to ink my second Shanti. I opted the way he played out his line. I said, okay, he's gonna have Hades, and if he has Hades, he's gonna ramp me again. So I have to ink to get to 5 so I can play Tramp. And instead of having Hades, he had Vincenzo, and like it just like it messed with the numbers. But
Mm-hmm.
that was actually what I would say the hardest contention point of of like that game too was like whether or not he would have Hades or Vincenzo. I put him on Hades. I was wrong,
Yeah.
and I think that that's why the game like drawn out as long as it did. Because if my next turn is not like random 2/2 that he can Vincenzo again, and it's just another Shanti, then I end up in like in a better position. So it was kind of a like a 50-50 that like you just sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and in that case I lost.
Yeah, that was a very interesting mini game. Just watching you trying to set up the singer, and we didn't mention that as well, and him trying to keep you off of the singer because the ability to sing that Circle of Life. Because had you been able to deploy the malicious mean, bring back the Prince Philip, the game is totally different. I think you can win from there. But we got creative here as well, and I'm hogging these interviews all the time. I'm sorry, Rip. Please jump in
No,
there.
you're
Any
good,
questions
man.
you have before we bring Kawa in here and talk about his play? I know you want to talk about it because there was some very high risk, high reward play that you did in that game number 2, and it worked out so nicely for you.
Yeah, so first I want to say awesome match to both of you guys. Super exciting to see everyone back home was just going crazy in the chat. Super spicy list, awesome match, and glad we got a game 3. Dan, just real quick, just wanted to ask you before we hop on to Kawa. So what are your thoughts on this particular build versus your normal Diego Saz, dogs line with the Chromacon? Is
Hmm.
this particular build you just favor more? Is it just more your style, or do you
Oh
think
no,
is there one better than the other?
it's entirely they're two entirely different decks,
Mm-hmm.
which is like I think like a lot of the real interesting thing is that I think that right now Amber Emerald as a whole might kind of be misrepresented in the metagame because dogs I think is still a very good deck in the metagame. I think it's actually better into Amethyst Steel than it was last set, which helps a lot, and then this deck is like kind of its own little evolution of it. For a past for me, I in other games really enjoy combo decks, and for Lorcana, it just like they just don't exist enough. They're not consistent enough in the before like in the pre-rotation. There was so much removal that it was so difficult to ever play any like real combo deck to a lot of success. In this current format, with a lot less removal, with the willpower that we have on characters, it's a lot easier to like set up combo-ish plays. So that does fit my style. And I will say, like Tramp is one of my favorite cards that was ever printed,
Mm-hmm.
and like the idea that he is such a filter to the deck just makes it all the more because anytime you draw 3, draw 4, draw 5, like it's busted no matter how you're doing it. So like that's really the key for me is I really like combo decks, and this feels like one of the first combo decks that just kind of remains consistent and it's always in the game. Like even in game 2, he had to remove 4 singers in a row. Like if he doesn't do exactly that, I think at any point in the game I flip the game and I win. Like
Mm-hmm.
so he had to literally draw perfect in order to do that. And I think that that just stands of like how powerful the deck really can be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Very well put. Kyle, I guess we'll get to you. I want to ask you. You and Sky ran similar Sapphire and Steel builds, but you chose not to play the aerial. Me and JDZ were actually talking about that earlier. So, what are your thoughts on the whole aerial right now, and also the one jump argument? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so funny story. I knew we could change our decks for this, but I've been like moving home over the past week, and if I had a chance to change my deck, which I really wanted to do, I would have put the aerials in it, but I just knew I had the deck if I needed to play on the fly somewhere. I just
Mm.
wanted to keep the same list. But honestly, yeah, I'm a big fan of the aerial build. So I just came from playing a CCQ this weekend, and I wasn't on Blue Steel, but my partner Kim, who's one of the DLC casters, she
Mhm.
played Blue Steel, and obviously Blue Steel actually took down that event at the CCQ in Wakefield. And yeah, it was super interesting. We saw the winner of that play some spice with like the 7-cost Arthur. He was playing like the 5-cost Pluto. Um, and there's actually just so many different directions you can even take this deck in, which is like super super cool. I'm a big fan of the Aerial. I think it puts in a lot of work against like the Ruby Amethyst decks, against the Amethyst Steel decks. Probably helps out decently against Dan's deck here as well. Although it's like I would argue it actually does. I was just speaking to Dan in one of the games where I was saying like it was actually so important that I was able to utilize the one jump and the Cindy, and like those two games where I basically ramped straight to 7 instead of 6, because my 6-cost cards against Dan's deck, like Tinkerbell and Goliath, they don't do anything to remove a singer unless I have a song alongside that. And that is true that Ariel doesn't by herself, but if it is Ariel plus a song, the way it could be like Tinkerbell plus a song, you're starting to set up for just more ways of utilizing your ink later in the game to like ping off a couple of the singer targets. Granted, I don't think it's going to help out tremendously against this matchup. I think you're still trying to go for the game plan to just like keep them off their singers as much as possible. But I think against the more mid-rangey decks like Amethyst Steel, like Ruby Amethyst, the aerials are pretty good. One of the things I wanted to mention was I definitely wanted to try it, and I've been talking to Sky about it too. So Kim opted to play 2 copies of the oh my god, I literally can't even remember the name of the card, but it's like the one Unsinkable Steel song.
But I'm much faster.
Yes, indeed.
We call it bread.
Card.
I think people are calling it bread.
Bread, right?
It's taken off.
Right.
Bread's taken off. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He's holding like a slice of bread there.
That card is like I think also in a tournament setting and closed deck list, like people just ain't gonna expect it, right? You know, like imagine you put that card, you sing that song. If you have an aerial, sure you can pay 2 to deal 3, but if you put it on a Tinkerbell, you take out one evasive that you can ping off something else. It's like, you know, we've seen that within the obviously the Ink Runner has been played in a couple of the blue steel lists as well. I'm a big fan of that card. The thing is though, is if you're playing the aerial build, it gets so tight. Where do you want to go for the Ink Runners? Do you want to go for the song? And then also trying to figure out what cards you want to cut, right? Like cutting down on visions, cutting down on develops, maybe cutting down on one drops. So I just really love exploring the deck and seeing what you want to take out and what you want to keep in. I think we even opted to cut down on Horseman from Kim's build that we finished on. And I mean, we saw the weekend, Horseman was like the MVP, right? I think Horseman's such a cool card. It's such a chaotic card. But I'm just a fan of like already all of the different ways that you can take the build. Yes, ultimately it plays very similarly, right? It's not like the conversation like Dan was saying, where like Dogs is a completely different deck to this combo Circle of Life deck. But even still, I think it's cool that you can take it in multiple different ways. But yeah, the list I played today, I would still say is like the very standard core version of the deck. It's not refined. I would highly recommend people, you know, if you want to play the deck, take it away, make some changes, make some adjustments. But yeah, I enjoy the playstyle of the deck, and yeah, for my next tournament, honestly, I played Blue Steel. I played Ruby Amethyst this past weekend. I'm eyeing up Dan's deck because it looks like a ton of fun to play. I'm also a big combo player, and it's kind of the closest thing we have right now in Lorcana. So yeah, and like Dan said,
it'll be back in your colors too, man. I know you're an Amber Emerald mainstay. You'll be back to your colors, man. You'll be back home. I'm surprised you're not playing a strategy like this.
Everyone's saying, yo, you got the colors and stuff. For me, it's like, yes, I loved that type of deck. But for me, I really enjoy exploring all different types of color combinations. Like, I'm still a big fan of what green blue can do this set as well. Like the differences of people playing lots of Mother Knows Best. Some people even opting to just like not play Cinderellas, right? Going back to kind of a lot of what the core was in set 9 green blue and just putting in the Prince Philip and Malicious, Mean and Scary package. So I want to say I agree with Dan that you know, there's a lot of decks out there right now that have way more potential into the meta than people realize. We're seeing it from some of these CCQs, right? I think people are, for example, Blue Steel, before it won this, I think people were like, Blue Steel, like, you know, tier 2 deck, or like, you know, it's not that good. I don't know, like, I think it's also because there's such a high representation of Amethyst Steel, and yes, it is a very, very good, consistent deck across, you know, long tournaments, multiple rounds, but I think people, you know, gotta explore some other things as well. I think there's definitely ways, and we saw from this past weekend of tournaments, there's ways of taking down Amethyst Steel. So I'd love to pass this back to you, Create, and just hear your thoughts on Blue Steel as a whole right now within the meta.
Yeah, I think Sapphire Steel is in a pretty good spot. Just like how you mentioned, the meta is pretty diverse right now. We have Dan's deck, you have Amethyst Steel, just like you mentioned, Emerald Sapphire. Now we saw the weekend prior, Ruby Amethyst, and now finally Sapphire Steel taking down a CCQ. And I think that's really because a deck like Sapphire Steel can just adapt to the meta. So if there were a lot more Sapphire or Emerald decks, we know we can shift towards the Horseman line. But with all this Amethyst Steel, it just felt like a nice meta call just to be able to counteract, all these purple decks, and which we did see in the finals. And I think right now there's so many different ways, like just like how you mentioned, you can take Sapphire Steel. You even have Zan's ally route, which I'm a big fan of. You can play aerials. You don't have to play aerials. Just so many different ways. And I think again, just like how Dan mentioned, you can just play any deck right now, and if you can just I do want to say like master your deck. If you could just master the matchup knowledge, you can pretty much just take anything down. And I think Sapphire Steel is one of those decks, along with the Circle of Life deck. If you're just able to pilot those decks correctly at a high level, you can take away and take down a tournament.
Sick. I concur. But I have one more question. Going back to the game, just really quickly, because I don't want to gloss over that, because there were some really cool things that happened in that game number 2. Can you just go back to your decision making on some of those ramping and inking choices? You mentioned going straight to that 7 ink turn. You bypassed that Goliath, which could have potentially got some value, and you trusted your deck to provide, and it did. Can you just talk about that decision making? How hard was that to come up with that choice? And ultimately, it worked out for you that time. But can you just break that down for us really quick?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, if you miss your Cindy, you just need to have double ramp anyways to try and get to your 6, right? To get to your Goliath or get to your Tink. And luckily, I had the 1 jump plus the other form of ramp. Well, I think game 2 actually had the Cindy, right? So I had Cindy and 1 jump. And yeah, it's just about, and it is an interesting point you bring up. I think that was also the game where I could have had 2 1 jumps. I was like, I did a develop. I was looking to see, did I want to keep a 1 jump and go for like Giga Ramp, or you can do this line where you go Cindy into Goliath and use Cindy to just sing a song to completely dump your hand, so then you redraw up to 2. But you gotta recognize the deck that you're against, and like I mentioned, I knew that my 6 costs weren't going to be enough against Dan. And I think honestly, like Dan mentioned, like playing versus the Vincenzo or the Hades, like Dan played it perfectly. Like I had the Hades in hand. Yes, it could have been a Vincenzo in hand, and I was very fortunate to top deck a Vincenzo, top deck another Vincenzo. But Dan recognized the line, and I think that's the line that most people would go for. So I think Dan played it perfectly there. And for me, yeah, like I said, the deck provided. Luckily, even in game 3, I knew that once I played the Vincenzo to keep him off the singers, I just needed more removal to consistently keep the singers off the board. And yeah, it's how it goes, right? It's like sometimes the deck works, sometimes it doesn't. It was even interesting choices in game 3 where like I played my vision. I was saying to Dan, like I could have kept like a song, like I did think there was a strength, but I didn't have the singer established for it. I could have kept a Tinkerbell to try and do like double Tink lines, because his board was quite susceptible to that, right? It was like just like Bobby, Mowgli, I think Scrooge and Prince Philip. But that's just like still too slow. Even if I do like 1 Tink, then he has enough for the singers, right? That's why I had to get the Vincenzo. So yeah, it's just like recognizing, keeping them off the singers. Even like playing a Visions in that moment is really weird, because you're like, do I want to keep anything off this, or do I ink one of the other cards in my hand? So all of these like little micro decisions between the games, so I said to Dan, it's actually the things I find the most fascinating. And to some people watching, maybe they might, I think it's quite easy to gloss over just how difficult those decisions are and how crucial they are. But yeah, exactly what Create said as well. It's just understanding the decks that you're against and understanding their game plan. Like Dan's deck needs to sing Circle of Life. If I can keep him off that, that's just how I win the game. And we saw that's what happened in game 2. So yeah, I mean, also getting Rampant to Cindy would definitely help. I was a little bit unfortunate, but regardless, like I said, it's still important to note hitting the double ramp line even without the Cindy was still huge. So I think even if you're against a deck that wasn't necessarily Dan's deck, that was combo based, I think I still would have done okay getting to that 7 ink threshold. So yeah, it was cool.
Absolutely. I concur, man. But gentlemen, closing thoughts. We're going to close this thing out. We're going to kick it back over to, we're going to start with you, Kawa. Anything else you want to say while we're doing this? Just make sure you think about your cause that you're playing for. Granted, we are playing for charity. You're still very much alive and well in this tournament. Now that you're all settled into your new home, potentially we can get you back in here, lock back in, and get back into the swing of the victories. But just really quick, talk about your charity a little bit, and then any special shout outs that you have, and we'll kick it over to Dan, the winner. You know what I'm saying? USA! I'm kidding. I'm biased, but I'm also kidding to do the same.
Sure, yeah. So the charity I'm playing for is it's like a chronic pain charity in Ireland. So people who have to live with constant pain and stuff. There's it's actually quite a personal one to me. I don't want to get into too much, but somebody I'm very, 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 very close to has to deal with chronic pain every day. They put on a very brave face and they're an extremely positive person. But it's charities like this that have the support to help people keep going, right? Like chronic pain is something you have to live with for your entire life, and it's something that could easily, leave you immobile, or you can maybe you're not a social, or you're like quite sad all the time. So it's a very, very, very good cause. It's not an easy thing for people to live through, but yeah, it's I wanted to choose the charity for somebody who's like super, super special to me. And yeah, I'm super proud of them every day, because even though they deal with this, they just try and treat every day as the best day they can live it, right? There's no point to staying home. You got to live your life. You got to do your thing. So it's a very, very important charity to me. And once again, I want to give a shout out to you guys, the casters, the judges, Pavel, everybody for organizing this. I really did want to play. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to get this done, as I said, because I was moving home. But Pavel and then Dan and everybody is super, super great to be able to make sure we still got this game going. So I'm excited to keep playing. I'm excited to see where Europe can land. And as you mentioned, JDZ, yeah, this is just all for a fantastic fantastic cause at the end of the day. So
it's a lot of fun.
with that, I'll pass it over to Dan.
Please, Dan, getting it done, representing well. I'm kidding. I'm gonna stop being so biased. I do apologize for my biasness. We're gonna get some EU broadcasters in here soon. Maybe I could join Kawa one of these days, and we can have some bias the other way. But Dan, getting it done, representing North America well, winning. The floor is yours. Please talk about your charity a bit, and then give your special shout out.
Yeah, so for me, it's the Eagles Autism Foundation. They are near and dear to my heart. Anyone that's been following my story, they know that I have two children that are both on the spectrum. When my son was diagnosed, he was just about like 3 months shy of 2 years old. And, a lot of things were going on. It was actually literally right before COVID. And there was a lot of resources that had to go around to like figuring out like how we were going to get him the help and things like that. So for me, the Eagles Autism Foundation is something that I do every year. I run charities for it. I am part of it. I do the 5K walk. Melissa might have inspired me to do the 5K run this year. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, it's very near and dear to my heart. It's close to Philly, which is nice. And everything they do is great. Like getting to walk, with the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. Like obviously I'm a huge fan, but like seeing that in person, you made the joke about like being biased as a commentary. Like I grew up in wrestling, like in wrestling, there's a lot of those biasisms and heel infections and things like that. So like it's kind of the same here, where like you get to go and experience your life. Experience the walk and experience everything that you're doing with the Eagles, like with literally the Philadelphia Eagles. Like they are walking alongside with you. You can interact with them. You can take pictures and things like that, and see what that does for the kids that are there, and like how excited they get to be a part of it, run on the field and things like that. Like it's just a great foundation, and it's obviously very near and dear to me. For the shout-outs, number one today is TFM Kylie. She allowed me to sit in and call game one with JD because she went and got the kids. Big, big win. Number two is Kawa. I know he's had a hell of a week, and we were just glad that we made it work, and I'm really happy for that. Shout out to Elliot and Phil today for the judges. Shout out to Pavel for putting everything together. And, of course, where would I be without my team? Melissa and I played about 10 games of this yesterday. Our list was not perfect as to what Kawa was doing. We actually had more removal in it. So the matchup is not fun. It's not easy by any which means, and Kawa played it perfectly, even to the extent of like, if he didn't have the visions in his hands, and I get to hit the sail or something like that, like in my game 3, it's a huge different game. So it's like it's really difficult for all the other decision points that go into that, and it was a real tough set. And I wouldn't call it the cat and mouse of it all in this format of like we have forgotten what singers do in Disney Lorcana. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
since the rotation, like no one's playing singers that are like trying to do these crazy ridiculous things. It was like, oh, did I strength you one time? Cool, like that's fine, right? Like the deck is just working so much differently than that like for a player to adapt on the fly and understand the matchup, huge credit to him. So thank you guys for having us, and it was a great day.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys both. And I truly mean that. I mentioned it in the broadcast. Both of you guys are truly great representations of this community. What you guys do, not only as players, but as content creators and as people who are trying to help spread the word of this game and get players better. I want to make sure that everyone is checking out. I'm sure everyone's already following both your guys' YouTube programs. But if you're not checking out the Forbidden Mountain on YouTube, and if you're not checking out Podcana on YouTube, you're making a huge, tremendous misplay. If you want to get better, these are two great resources to do that. So I encourage all of you that are watching to make sure you divert yourself over there and show them some love and watch everything that they put out, because you will just get better, and support everything they're trying to do in terms of guides and coaching and all that kind of stuff. But gentlemen, much love to both of you, man. It's always great to share your wisdom with me. Every time I engage with both of you, I feel like I get better as a player. So with that, I'll go ahead and let you guys go, so you can go ahead and get ready to do what you got to do and get busy. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next round of the LCCC.
Thank you, JD. Thank you. See you
Much
guys
love.
later.
Everyone. See you
Oh.
later. Bye.
All right. And that is going to get it done. We're hopping back into the booth. I want to say, I'll meet you there, Mr. Rip Lung. Or Create. We're Create now. I'm so sorry. We're Create. No more Rip. No more Rip. And man, what a day.
Man, what a day.
What a day, Rip. We got there. We got it done, big dog. Oh, man, what
Super
a day.
awesome time casting, yeah.
It was great, man, having this time with you. I mean, we were LCC gang from way, way back in the day. LCCC 1. Now here we are again. Look at us now, baby. And it's good to be here, man. So huge shout out to you. Also, a huge shout out to Phil and Ellie. They are remarkable in what they're able to do to keep this thing going through. And all of our judges we have here in the LCCC. So we got sitting around the server and all the online spaces. Make sure you show them some love as well. Our judge community is the best in the world, I think. But Rip, with that, anything you want to say? Closing remarks, man. Anything you got to add? The floor is yours, Rip. Highlights on the day. What do you think, man? Takeaways.
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to all the viewers at home that came in watching. Shout out to NRV. Shout out to the homies. Shout out to Blue Lock. And yeah, this meta is just super awesome to see. These past couple of weekends, we saw Red Purple take down the CCQ. We just saw Sapphire Steel take down the CCQ. We just saw the circle of life deck come into play today, and really I'm personally having a good time playing in this meta. Personally, I'm on Sapphire Steel, trying out the allies, trying out the ramp build, and I'm just having a good time being able to just go 50-50 for everything, having some good matchups. I think today we really saw how rewarding creative deck building is, especially playing into your opponent's lines, like how Dan mentioned. He was playing into Kawa either having Hades or Vince, and then Kawa playing ahead and thinking, I need to get this Tinkerbell down. So I think today we saw what really pays off in your deck building and matchup knowledge. And I think that's why, I think with all these tier lists going around, I know it's a lot of rage bait, but I do think like like any list, like you just put it with any pilot, and if they just get the matchups that they want to, they could take down a tournament pretty much.
Yeah, I think that is I would concur. I think anybody with a little bit of grind and a little bit of time, and you do a little bit of diagnosis and get a bit lucky, I think at this point in the meta, you can win with anything if you are set up to do so. But I think this was an incredible day of Disney Lorcana, but guess what? It is not over. If you guys want even more Disney Lorcana, well, guess what? You are in luck, because today is Tuesday, and that is going to be an ICL day. So ICL on a Tuesday is coming up. So make sure you guys get over there and check that out. It's going to be on Wonderland's channel here in about 1 hour or so. Maybe we can keep the stream party train rocking and rolling for an hour and then go over there directly from here. But I don't know if I can, because I do have to go take care of some business before this thing gets started. I've been locked in and engaged all day.
We've been locked in. We've been locked in.
Yeah, so I might have to end it and throw a raid and then come back to it unless they want to fire something up a bit early. But here it is for YouTube. We're gonna edit that out for YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. And I didn't do a YouTube between each round. We're cooked. YouTube's cooked. All right. Keep it locked, YouTube. All right, but thank you so much for watching. It's been a great day of Disney Lorcana. As always, I'm JDZ. I'm on a quest. Shout out to the real ones. Salute to the OG.